G'day, and welcome back to another episode of Sailing Excelsior. This week, we tackle Africa's notorious wild coast. This beautiful but treacherous stretch of water on the southeast coast of Africa stretches 300 kilometres from Port Edward, south of Durban, to Morgan Bay, just north of East London. The Agulhas is the most powerful current in the world. Flowing south along the coast just offshore, the warm water accelerates rapidly as it reaches the curved coastline of South Africa, reaching speeds of 5 to 8 knots. The combination of this fast-flowing current and southerly swells originating in the Southern Ocean are treacherous at the best of times. But when coupled with frequent storms and strong southerly winds, it can create enormous waves, some in excess of 20 metres, at a catastrophically close period. Since record keeping began, approximately 3,000 ships have been lost along South Africa's massive coastline. But the wild coast is said to have claimed more than half of these vessels. The most famous wreck of all was the MTS Oceanus, a French-built and Greek-owned cruise ship, which on the 3rd of August 1991 set out from East London headed for Durban. Not long after leaving, the Oceanus encountered 40 to 60 knot winds and 9 to 15 metre waves, later that evening sinking after she suffered uncontrolled flooding. The ship's captain, Yannis Avranis, and some of the crew were convicted of negligence for being the first ones to flee the ship without helping any passengers, who was subsequently rescued thanks to the efforts of the ship's musicians and entertainers, who made mayday transmissions, launched lifeboats, and even helped coordinate with the South African Marines winch survivors from the ship using naval helicopters, saving all 571 passengers and crew. It goes without saying that we weren't taking any chances navigating this notorious stretch of water, and have planned this voyage very carefully, waiting over a month in Durban for the opportune weather window.
Bye guys.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Oi, oi, oi!
Goodbye, Durban. It's always emotional leaving a marina, I tell you, especially when you've been somewhere as long as this and you meet people like that. It's always bittersweet because you want to go, you're ready to go, but you're just not ready to say goodbye to some people. Anchor locker. So yeah, it's bloody difficult, especially saying goodbye to some people as beautiful as those two. Hey, that's hard. It's bittersweet, isn't it? We'll see them again. All right, I better make some radio calls.
So Durban's the busiest container shipping port in the southern hemisphere, and you can see that when you come here. And those big silos over there, that's all sugar that gets shipped around Africa. So that's just storage for the sugar. That's a lot of sugar.
With radio calls made and clearance granted to leave the port, we hoisted the main and slowly made our way through the busy shipping channel and back into the Indian Ocean once more. Big ship loader going on there. Big buckets dumping coal.
Chewy's first sail today. What do you think, Chewy? Not sure about all this, are you, buddy? You're doing pretty well. She's a bit lumpy.
How's this thing? Just punch it in.
Oh yeah. Oh. Plows
Who
through
would
it.
choose to do that for a living? This is just for your thing.
Oh no, imagine.
Especially on this coastline.
Yeah.
As volatile as it is.
And this is calm for them.
Yeah.
This is a good day. This is the weather we've been waiting for. So yeah, it gets pretty wild out here. Especially when that current and that wind go opposite direction or collide. They reckon you get 100-foot waves on this coast which snap container ships. So wouldn't want to be in that.
That's a scary thought, eh? Not surprising though, like with 5 or 6 knots of current, 5 or 6 knots of current running one way and 60 to 70 knot winds going the other way. it's almost saying it. It's almost too extreme to be true. Like,
Yeah.
seen it?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it, but
We've heard about it.
no, we've heard about it, and we've been watching the weather since we've been here, and there has been 60 and 70 knots out there. Like, that's just unfathomable.
Picture, baby.
Not long after leaving port, the sails were set and the start of our passage down the wild coast had begun. So about an hour ago we had a bit of a problem. Brody was on shift. I was just asleep here on the couch, and because there's not much wind, we were just motoring just to try and keep the pace up, just so we can get into East London at the right time before the big blow comes. And we just noticed the RPM on the port engine just went through the roof. It just took off. And we've got no thrust, so I don't know what to say. I hope not, but it kind of sounds like we might have lost the prop. The flexifolds are kind of known for coming off if you don't install them properly. I mean, if it's that, it would have done it sooner. So the other thing is it could be a gearbox. Oh man, if that's the case, it's bad. I'm not going to know until the morning though. I'll put the GoPro in the water and see if I can see the prop, and if there's a prop there, then it's the gearbox. So yeah, a bit of a problem. So yeah, we'll see what the morning holds. Hopefully we've got some wind and we can sail on in. Fingers crossed.
A little puddle buddy in there. Hello. 112 mile, eh?
112 miles. At 11 knots, it's only going to take us 11 hours. Well, we're getting in just after midnight, which is not ideal on one engine.
No.
What do? We slow down, we get a beating. No point speeding up. I guess.
Gotta bring it and bear it. At least we've got to walk on.
I might message the dude now and just try and work out exactly where.
What you need to do.
Yeah.
So have you told everyone about our engine problems?
Yeah.
The next morning, I lowered the GoPro into the water and in a bittersweet moment discovered the flexifold propeller still attached, realising my problem was likely a gearbox failure. The mood was lightened, however, when later that morning both fishing reels started peeling away line and Brody and I simultaneously reeled in our first catches for the trip.
Oh, it's a yellowfin. Nice.
These will be the same, I'd say.
Keep it for pussycat food.
No.
Nothing else.
I'm just going to let it sit there. I don't want to go down while it's all popping about.
Already got a yellowfin too. Nice one.
Chewy curiously watched on as Brody filleted the fish for both his and our dinner.
Looking like we're getting at 1 o'clock in the morning though. We're doing 13.5 knots.
Wow. What's the current?
5.8 knots.
Whoa.
I've never seen anything like it. Never.
You can see how the waves get big, eh?
Oh wow, look at these cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see they get big. It's quite scary.
We feel like we're almost rounding out on some of them.
Yeah. 5.5 knots of current on the tail into 24 knots through breeze. Apparently it's probably strong, that's probably close to 30. But can you imagine what 30 knots of breeze would be like against 6 knots of current.
Yeah.
These need to be triple the height.
Yeah.
We're in about 4 metre waves right now.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 12, easy.
So you can see that they get 100-foot waves in here. If it's got 70 knots of wind against it, against 6
This
knots.
wave right here, that's easy, 5-6 metres. That was huge. Absolute mount. Look at it.
Who's that over there?
I can't pronounce it. Notorious.
Oh, yeah. We left with them.
Yeah. I don't know what cannonball is, but it's fast. It's still like 15, 16 knots.
Nice.
Yeah.
They had their spinnaker up though, didn't they?
No, that was these guys. We've caught them. Kiwis are just up ahead of us. They were running main and heady for a while.
Wow.
I was like, oh, we're doing 15.5 knots. I'm like, oh, dude. Sure you want to be doing that?
Puts a lot of pressure on your rig.
So I think they've dropped the main, or they're double reefed or something like that. It's about 30 knots of breeze out there. It should be up fairly close on the way from that. No. It's not that it's out of range. It's something's happened. It's just shut down.
Overheated.
Yeah, seriously, 14.5 knots then.
After spending a month in Durban anxiously watching the weather, we managed to get it right and had one of the most exhilarating sails we've ever had, taming the wild coast of Africa. Considering the very slow, windless start to the passage, we covered the 270 nautical mile stretch of water in just 36 hours, averaging nearly 8 knots for the trip and reaching a top speed of just over 19 knots over ground, a new record for the crew on Excelsior. As we approached East London, the wind once again dropped out, leaving no choice but to switch on the one good engine. Unfortunately, the engine had other plans, with the raw water system not priming, leaving the exhaust to run dry, which required very quick rectification to ensure that we can come into port with at least one engine running smoothly. A quick clean of the water strainer and a shake of the hose seemed to dislodge and clean the line, allowing the water to pump freely again, narrowly avoiding a call to the Coast Guard for a tow into the port.
East London Port Control, East London Port Control. This is Sailing Vessel Excelsior, Channel 12.
Sailing Vessel Excelsior, East London Port Control.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sailing Vessel Excelsior. We are half a mile from the harbour entrance and requesting permission to enter.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, sir. For your information, we are currently under one engine and limited manoeuvrability. Don't care. So we made it. We finally have sailed down the wild coast of Africa. It was Durban to East London, approximately 270 mile in total, and as you would have heard just then, we're on one engine. First night out, the winds were pretty light on, so we were motoring away, and at about midnight Brody was on shift and I just heard the port engine RPM just go through the roof. It just went up by about 600 RPM all of a sudden. Came out, checked our speed, and we're only doing about 2 knots, so we'd lost all thrust on the port engine. Given that we've got flexifold props on, we thought that it was potential that we'd actually lost a prop, because they unfortunately have a tendency to do that. So anyway, the engine got shut down, and it wasn't until the next morning when I put the GoPro in the water and had a little look, we noticed the prop was still there and in perfect condition. Started the engine again, tried forward, tried reverse, nothing. So it looks like, begrudgingly I say this, but it looks like the clutch plates in our sail drive have gone or given up the ghost, which is going to be an incredibly expensive fix and very, very difficult considering where we are. Heartbreaking. But the silver lining is we've just completed or sailed the wild coast of Africa. At one stage there yesterday, we actually hit 20 knots speed over ground in Excelsior, which was like nothing we've ever experienced before. And we were sort of maintaining around 16 knots for a couple of hours. So that's some of the fastest sailing I've ever done in my life. Well, that is the fastest sailing I've ever done, that we've ever done. It was a hell of an experience. I would not like to be tackling that coastline in the wrong weather, because we had the wind with us and the current with us, and that was pretty intense as well, as you would have seen with some of the footage that Sarah got. It was pretty wild out there. But what an achievement. Oh, can't tell you how good we feel getting that milestone out of the way. I've been nervous about that stretch of water for 9 months, ever since we left Thailand. So we've done it. We're feeling pretty accomplished. A little bit heartbroken with the sail drive, but hey, that's boating life, I guess. The unfortunate thing for us is we don't have a lot of money. You know, we really don't. Despite what you might think, we're on a big catamaran. We truly don't have much money, and we've got we have to replace our rig for insurance because Pantaenius dictates that every 10 years. So I've got another $5,000 coming out in 2 weeks' time. Then Pantaenius also want another $5,000 insurance. And now I've got to try and fix this clutch plate. So I've got about $12,000 to $15,000 coming out in the next 5 weeks, and it's really going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. We're going to struggle. So, you know, you have good years, you have bad years. This one isn't off to a very good start for us, unfortunately. But hey, it can only get better, right? Anyway, like I said, we've done the wild coast. We feel amazing. I'm gonna get in and get some bloody sleep. We did not sleep much on that trip.
Shortly after sunrise, Excelsior and crew gently glided our way into the port of East London.
Fancy did tell me. Congratulations, team. Just done. We've just completed the wild coast of Africa. How's it feel? Good? It's pretty hectic.
Excitement at class over here.
5 hours of sleep.
Yay!
We've still got like a tiny little bit to go, but I mean it's not nearly as hectic from here. Because from here to Port Elizabeth, small skip, and then Nyes is a small skip, and then it's a small hop around to Cape Town. So that's the most hectic part right there, done and dusted. So that's the one I've been nervous about for such a long time.
That's why we stayed in Durban so long. As Brennan just said, we couldn't have done it without this guy. We couldn't have crossed the Indian or got down the wild coast without him. He's been instrumental, doing 4-hour night shifts, sharing the load. Last night was 6. There you go. Good job, mate.
Not long after anchoring, our buddies the Cruising Kiwis showed up also, rafting up alongside Excelsior to share a coffee and trade stories about our passage down the wild coast.
That's the wild coast done and dusted, Kiwis! Congratulations!
What time did you get here?
About 2 hours ago. It's all over. Woohoo!
Yay!
Good job, guys. I'll whip it out.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed making it. Join us next week as we start the process of pulling apart the gearbox and engine to try and diagnose our zero thrust problem with our new friend Peter, who graciously offers to get dirty and help with the repair. We also enjoy a few cold beers at the Buffalo River Yacht Club, along with a good old-fashioned South African braai. Then check out the sights of Durban in style when we're loaned a fancy little convertible for the day. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.